let's hit our first defenseman on the best and worst case here. Cam York.
Cam.
To me, the best case for Cam York is he eventually takes over one of the power play spots.
Okay.
Hopefully it's power play 2 because Jamie Drysdale's real good and he stays on power play 1. We'll get to him in a bit. But he takes over power play 2 and he starts showing some of the offense. I thought he took some real big steps last year in his overall game. He was probably the Flyers' most consistent defenseman, especially after they traded Sean Walker. Really liked the step Cam York took last year. But a best case is he proves he's a top pair defenseman, and now we're just looking for one of those to fill that hole. That would be real nice. What's your best case for Cam York?
It's a great question. I mean, obviously last year was the big step that we needed him to take, right? He took hold of that, top pairing spot with Travis Sanheim. Also, too, he did a really good job, and there's something very sneaky, but he blocked a ton of shots, too. And that's something that...
Second on the team in blocks.
Yeah, and that
got
was
Nick
really big
Seeler,
too.
whose whole identity is blocking shots.
Yes. And I guess, for right now, the ceiling right now is he takes hold, legitimately takes a hold of one of those top spots. And, it's there. We constantly keep saying, Sanheim and York, if you want to be those top defensemen for the team going down the line when we're competing for cups, it is there. And I think it's interesting because you could probably lump both of them together. Obviously Cam, more that shifty type of, that you're hopefully he could be maybe a rover type of defenseman. Travis Sanheim, that big body type of dude. So it's definitely there for them to take those top defensive pairing roles, but you got to take it here. So the best case scenario is Cam York takes a hold of that top pairing spot.
That's the ultimately, I think, and we'll do Sanheim because you're right. They do kind of go hand in hand. Ultimately, I think Travis Sanheim is a good second pair defenseman. He eventually moves back over to the left side. They find a righty, whether it's Jamie Drysdale or somebody else, Oliver Bonk, whatever it might be, to play on that second pair with Travis Sanheim. That's what he is, and he's good at it for the rest of his contract. York, to me, has actual top pair potential. And maybe it's just because we haven't seen him as much as we have Sanheim yet. But the step he took last year, especially defensively and in the neutral zone, I just think there's a little bit more there. But the offense has to come with it eventually. And a lot of that is power play. They don't have a guy who's definitely a power play defenseman yet. They think Jamie Drysdale is one of them. Right now it's Igor Zamula. Igor Zamula did a nice job last year. If he's running one of your power play units, you don't have enough guys.
No, you don't.
That's what it comes down to, and hopefully that can be York. So I think that's his best case scenario is he takes over the second power play, leads the team in minutes the way he did in the second half of the season last year, and kind of separates himself from the rest of the defensemen. I am a top pair guy, and now we're just looking for somebody to pair with him on a top pair.
Yeah. 10 goals, 20 assists, man. We could definitely improve upon that.
A worst case for York, to me, is just stagnation. Like you said, 10 goals, 20 assists. He had the 30 points. If he just looks like, oh, yeah, he's a solid top 4, but I don't know if he's a top pair guy. That's worst case scenario. I think he has a baseline. I think his baseline, I don't think it's oh, and now he stinks. I don't think that's going to happen with Cam York. I think he's pretty good. But he needs to take that step from pretty good to, dependable top pair. And if he doesn't, that is a major disappointment.
I completely agree with you, too. And I wonder how much he was battling injuries during some of the tough parts of last year. We were hearing him, muscling it out there, trying to stay on the ice. But I completely agree with you. I mean, obviously, if he just doesn't, no improvement whatsoever in the game, especially offensively, doesn't take hold, like you talked about, one of the power play roles, that to me would be the lowest.
I think York might have missed one game last year, and he had that shoulder problem. And then he was out there for the Winter Classic or the outdoor game, whatever it was.
Definitely tough kid.
Stadium series. And it was he and Sanheim both dealt with stuff. And it was so many of their defensemen got hurt at different points last year. And they were the top guys. They just couldn't come out. It was can you skate? You kind of got to go because we're out of dudes. Yeah, and that's kind of what happened last year. And they took it upon themselves. That's what I know we kind of harp on sometimes. Just a little bit less hockey mentality and then get healthy and then you're 100% when you come back. But the thing nobody will ever be is 100% in the playoffs. You do kind of have to learn how to how to produce and how to contribute when you're not at 100%. Because I do think that was a little bit of an issue for the team as a whole last year. Like when they had their A game, they beat really good teams.
Oh my God.
Like they competed with Vegas, they competed with Dallas, they competed with Colorado. They beat them sometimes. Like they played
Boston,
some
Florida.
great games against some great teams. Florida beat them twice. Yeah. When they brought their A game, they were one of the better teams for a lot of the season. And if they had their B game, they absolutely sucked.
Yeah,
and like
dude.
they have to find a way to even that out. Like, and I think I talked about this with Charlie with Michkov. Like that Boston game, the last real preseason game against Boston, I thought was a great example of what Michkov can do for you. Like they were not good. They got outshot by like 20 in that game. It was like 34-14 or something. Got crushed. But because Michkov made one play, it was a 1-goal game until they pulled the goalie. Like kept them in it, even though they were playing horribly for most of the game. And hopefully that's a difference this year with a little bit more top-end talent. You're able to, hey, we have our B game tonight, but it's not 5-0. Like, it's 3-2, and if we have a good third period, we can steal a point and maybe 2. Like that's kind of what you're looking at this year. And I think York and Sanheim, like that's a big part of it. When you don't have it, can you still contribute in a big way?
Dude, stars help you win in any sport, especially this one. And we always make the joke like, dude, if you had some sort of a power play, you're probably talking about playoffs last year.
Yeah.
With some of that top-end talent, that power play's got to play better. And you're probably talking about, what, maybe 10, 15 more goals on the season end?
Like it would just be like Danny Briere in his press conference the other day. I found it very funny that he talked about the Flyers power play the way we do. Like, I'm not looking for you to be top 5, top 10. Like, I'm not even looking for you to be in the top half of the league. If you were 22nd last year, you make the playoffs. Like, you might be top 3 in the division.
Literally.
You were in if you just weren't the worst I've ever seen. And that's what we're looking to do this year. And I think a lot of guys just need to find that, like, something between good and bad. Like you can be in the middle and still win.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to find. I think York and Sanheim are great examples of that.
I'm glad Danny's answer was the same as Chuck's. Chuck's was just ridiculous. Oh, well, hey, the power plays went bad way before even I got here. Well, duh, that's why they hired you, dude.
Like, so maybe you should fix it. Like, yeah, you have a job, right? Like they're paying you.
We all silly like the mayor.